Yes, sir. Professor
Actually, I want to supplement something what Brigadier Nirmal Dharmaratna said, because it's a very vital aspect that I see in Special Forces. That inspirational support they gave to the soldiers to perform those acts of utmost bravery. It's their mission statement, because I have seen hundreds of mission statements right around the world, and I still call the Special Forces Sri Lanka mission statement to be the best. And that clearly defines what a Special Forces officer's role is. And I have seen in the passing out parades that they pronounce it very proudly and loudly, and by way of an oath. I think that's a practice, which shall be adopted by every unit in our military as well as in the other parts of the world. I don't know whether it is available in English, but to be at least, to sort of translate it and give it to be given to the audience.
Thank you very much for your comment. Professor Unratna, I presume you want to speak?
Thank you very much. I think that this panel is an excellent panel, because we managed to get a very comprehensive view of the different facets of the Sri Lankan military, and also how the military worked together with the Air Force and the Navy to achieve this success. I would like to ask Brigadier Ralph Nugera to explain about his own assessment of the LTT's capabilities, because the LTT also had capabilities of doing night operations, doing commando-style raids, doing surveillance and reconnaissance. How, if he can share his views on the capabilities of those LTT within Inverted Commas special forces, and how he would rate those structures, and how the Sri Lankan military was able to counter those specialist capabilities.
Well, when you look at the LTT as a whole, with its infantry units, I could tell you that their infantry training was very much basic. They had a few specialist units, mainly in reconnaissance, and since being the inferior force, naturally they concentrated, they gained the edge up to Elam 3 through good battlefield intelligence. I mean, there was a huge disparity between us and them in terms of actual intelligence on ground, on the battlefield. So they gained that edge through the special reconnaissance cadres. And in addition to this, another capability was the daring and skillful nature in which they employed artillery efforts, forward observation officers or teams. If you look at the Elam 4, still we had Elam 3s. We had 60% of the casualties were due to indirect fires. Now, they employed minimum force, minimum numbers on ground. They used guerrilla warfare to fix you in jungles, and then they used the indirect fire support to wear you down and to waste you. So their capabilities, I believe this was one capability that impacted on us, on the infantry. Their operations behind the lines. I mean, Look at Anuradhapura Airport. No doubt, with such a level of blending of intelligence and special operations cadres, the ability to reach deep into the heart of Colombo itself speaks of the capabilities of special operations. And also it was, of course, given the boost with the use of suicide cadres. And these suicide cadres are unlike the religious fanatic types. Unlike them, these suicide cadres are very focused. They are cold and they are, skilled too. It's not just been a fanatic or anything like that. So I would call it controlled aggression, though they were suicide cadres. So these capabilities are what I have seen, and if you take the lines on the defense lines when we opposed them, they, especially in Jaffna, they made extensive use of IEDs, and their reserves in counterattack were just 30, 40. Even when we did attack in divisions, because we were massing, and all they did was use the IEDs, use fortifications, and with a few numbers, they would reduce us. And ultimately, counterattack with a small force. Now, these counterattacks were not designed to capture ground rapidly or anything like that, as we do things. But they were simply teams which moved in, harassed you, used indirect fire, and gradually, as your casualties increased, you were ejected. I think these are some of the capabilities they had, and we managed to neutralize these capabilities. We were able to match them or get even better at this in Iran 4. Have I managed?
We have answered your questions. Any more questions, ladies and gentlemen? Yes, we'll have from...
I'm from China, so I do not want to ask questions. I just want to say some word about our singer. I think many years ago, the fight with LTTE have brought massive damages to Sri Lankan peoples. But now we are happy to find that Sri Lankan peoples can enjoy peaceful and harmony lives. I think the most important job for army is bring peace to the country. The Sri Lankan army do this job successfully. Only with the peace, the government can build prosperity and justice. So it is the only and the best way to upgrade the human right. I think the international community should try to create a favorable environment for the political stability and economic development of Sri Lanka, and try to avoid to make the situation more complex. So personally, I am so honored to use this opportunity to show my personal respect to your Sri Lanka Army excellent job. Thank you.
Yes, please, on the rear.
Yes, I have a question for Brigadier Rowan. We heard many times during the conflict.
Please, could you, we can't see you. Could you kindly stand, please? Thank you very much.
Okay. We heard many times during the conflict that LTT communications were intercepted. LTT communication were intercepted, and we were told what they were. In a similar way, it's very likely, with all the latest electronic gadgets LTT had, they were intercepting your communications too. How did you manage to preserve from being intercepted and your secrets found out when the commanders in the forefront and in the HQ were communicating with one another?
Sir, thank you very much for that question, sir. In my 8-minute briefing, I told that 2 types of radios were issued to the infantry up to company level. That is VHF low band non-secure radios and VHF high band secure radios. So why both types of radios were issued was whenever they were in offensive role, they used the secure radios. So when they used the secure radios, if I talk in electronic jargon, it gives a white noise, and even if you have directional finding equipment, you can't identify whether somebody is talking, because it is just, you will hear just background noise. Because they were also using secure radios. At times they captured certain secure equipment from the army.